2, 1.
Good morning. We are here at the Perk, our coffee shop on the west end of Vail, and we have the pleasure today to do a walking together, talking together with R.L. Tolbert, T-O-L-B-E-R-T, and his helper, Macy, M-A-C-I, right? Well, and I told R.L. we all need helpers at times. You know, we've really had the opportunity to highlight some people and events in this Walking Together, Talking Together series that really just kind of grew. We didn't really have a lot to even consider where we were going or how we were going, but it's just developed, and it's been such a pleasure. And today is a distinctive day. It is 2/22/22. And we have, as I said, R.L. Tolbert, and he is a Hollywood stuntman, horse wrangler, expert tack horses, right here in our own Vail community. So R.L., I want to start this way. What does R.L. stand for, and how in the world did you get tagged with that?
It's just easier to remember and different.
What does it stand for? What's the real?
I don't ever tell anybody.
Oh, you don't? Okay, it's a secret, family secret. Okay. Sorry, folks, we're not going to have the definition of RL. But how in the world did you get into the Hollywood scene?
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't. Well, tell us about it.
I started rodeoing back in the 60s, early 60s, 64, 60, yeah, even before that, 60s.
Way back.
I went back east in 64. Stayed on the East Coast for all that season. And came to Pendleton that year in 64. I ended up in Pendleton, and I'm from Colorado, and then I went from here back to Colorado for the winter.
On the circuit then.
Yeah, it was the last one.
Ah.
In them days.
What were your specialties? What did you do?
Saddle broncs.
Saddle bronc. Okay.
Yeah. And I bulldogged a little. And I rode bulls.
Okay. And we're getting to how in the world did you then switch into the Hollywood scene?
Oh, well, that was about 10 years later. I didn't really want to get in the movie business. I had a few opportunities, you know, just around. But I was riding broncs. I wanted to be a bronc rider, you know, because I grew up on ranches and, you know, broke horses all over the state of Colorado for different big ranches.
So horses and rodeo were your life.
Yeah, I was just, and anyway, you know, that, like the John Wayne, when they did that thing with all the kids, what the heck was the name of that? Anyway, that was the first time I probably could have got in the movie. I ain't interested in that stuff, you know. Anyway, so we'd winter in Tucson. So there, at that time, this is a little later now, you know, like 67, 66. Okay. We'd winter in Tucson. We start out in Denver and we go around. And so I'd be there for a couple of months. After El Paso, you go to Tucson, then you hang out there until after Phoenix. And then you go back to, now it's springtime and, you know, winter's over and all that.
Sounds like kind of a rodeo snowbird.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all these guys were there because at that time, that's where they made all them movies, westerns and stuff. That was all that was on TV in those days, you know. And so I met a few of those guys there. And then one of the years, I don't remember which one, probably 67 or 8, they made a thing called Dirty Dingus Magee.
Dirty Dingus Magee.
Yeah, well, Frank Sinatra was the star of it.
Oh, really? Frank Sinatra. Okay.
And so I got to meet a few guys like Chuck Hayward, who was one of John Wayne's stuntmen, and quite a few other guys. But anyway, 10 years later, I worked on that show, and what the heck's his name? the old comedy, kind of the comedy bad guy. He had one eye that was, you know, he's one eye guy. Damn, can't think of his name now. Elam, Jack Elam.
Okay, Jack Elam.
Yeah, he was in this Dirty Dingus Magee.
Uh-huh.
And so I have a reel, you know, a small one of what I did over the years. And anyway, I got right behind. I knew that camera was going to be on him, so I snuck up there and got right behind him, you know.
Ah.
So I was on camera, you know. But that was the stunt guy. The stunt guy came over to the rodeo grounds, and he needed a couple of guys to ride these horses. They had a bunch of horses they brought down from Montana when they did. I don't know. Anyway, they made a movie up there, and they got a bunch of horses, and they were off them ranches up there, you know. And they brought them down to Tucson, and 2 or 3 of them, they got to bucking everybody off. Because them guys at Tucson were kind of, you know, some of them could ride, but not very well.
So they needed somebody who could stay on.
Yeah, they needed somebody to go there and ride those horses. So another guy named Ross Loney went with me.
Okay.
And we went over there and rode a couple, you know, they bucked, but we rode them. And that's all it took. They didn't buck anymore.
Oh.
Because they got used to bucking guys off. Once they found out they couldn't buck you off, they quit.
Okay.
Anyway, so then that's where I got to know a few people like Chuck Hayward and Jerry Gatlin was who brought us on that one.
Now you were a double too for Sam Elliott.
Yeah, that's way down the road.
Way down the road.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to get on way down the road and talk about what I just mentioned, because Dave Wenger, our local veterinarian, one of his favorite movies is Three Amigos. And
oh, yeah,
here we have our stuntman. So next week, tune in.
And we're back. Yeah.
Good morning once again. We are continuing with our series of walking together, talking together, right from our very own Vail community. Grace Lutheran has been very fortunate to have had this opportunity. Last week, I got to clear something up though. You know, I said something about 2/22/22. Well, actually today is January 22nd and we're continuing. And what you had posted last week was actually January 22nd. And it's kind of been our history, hasn't it? Because a week ago, we thought we were going to have something with RL. And instead, I was ignoring a call from Palmdale, California, which just happened to be his number, trying to make connection to get together. Well, yesterday I get a call from RL. He's down here for this Friday, and of course that was a mix-up too, but we finally got it. So it's 1/22/1922 today, and we're continuing.
1922?
No, 2022. Did I say it? Oh, well, we better depart from me and get back to RL and this continuing story, movies and Hollywood. So,
Really?
continue right on. Where'd we left off, or do either of us remember?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I was in Tucson or something, wintering in Tucson. And then I worked on Dingus Magee, and then I left, went right back to rodeoing for about 10 years. And like I said, I started to say I could have got on the show there, John Wayne, The Cowboys. That was the show, John Wayne's show, with all them kids.
Okay.
And I could have probably got on that, but I didn't want to because I just wanted to ride bronc.
Yep.
But then 10 years later, I'm in California. I made a run or two and didn't quite make it to the finals and stuff. So I just said, heck with it, I'll just stay in California, rodeo out here because it's nice and summery all the time out there, you know. And at that time, you could go to 2 or 3 rodeos damn near every week.
Really?
Yeah, there was tons of rodeos out there. Anyway, so Cotton Drossers always likes to have a little act in his rodeo, so he was doing. These stories get really long because there's so many pieces to them, you know. But anyway, this outfit, Randall Ranch. Randall Ranch was a big movie company supplied horses, wagons, etc. You know.
Randall Ranch, all
Yeah.
right.
And Glenn Randall trained Roy Rogers' horses and some of Gene Autry's horses.
Oh,
And so I kind of like, and I that was my deal. I like horses and training horses.
sure.
So anyway, I'm rodeoing around out there in California, and Glenn Randall got, when he came back off of that thing with all the chariots in it and stuff. What the heck was the name of that? Anyway, they had these chariots and things, and they created this wreck, and they were going around the rodeos. So I'm backing up a little bit here. So they were going around now. Glenn Randall, he always had some kind of an act, starting in the 50s. So like he went with Roy Rogers, and they'd go to them big rodeos and be an act, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so anyway, after that one movie in Europe, anyway, they had the chariots. So Cotton Cotton got in trouble all the time, getting lawsuits and stuff, you know, bulls getting into the crowd, and you know.
Wow.
So he ended up having to sell part of his outfit to pay the bills, you know.
Okay.
And I don't know any much about that, but I know the people that ended up with the stuff anyway. So Cotton decides to take them and do it, you know, for himself.
Mm-hmm.
So they're driving the first time they did it in San Bernardino with some stunt guys, and Cotton didn't. He thought they charged him too much.
Oh, the stunt guys did.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he, I don't know, the next week and later on, but he's Cotton's driving the one that wrecks, and one of the flank guys, the guys that pick up the flanks, he was driving the other chariot, and they're going around, and Cotton, there's a trip on this thing, and Cotton dropped a line, and he reached for that line, and he tripped this thing, and it throws him out and goes up in the air and comes back right down on top of him, this chariot.
Oh.
And so we figured, oh, yeah, that's the end of Cotton, you know. We went over there, turned that thing over, and there he was. He wasn't hurt at all, you know. And Cotton's like that. I mean, he had a lot of wrecks like that, you know. But he's lucky he made it through them. And but anyway, so I got to driving those chariots after that. He hired me, and I got in the chariot business.
Well, I remember a movie, Coliseum.
Yeah, no, it's Ben-Hur.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all are familiar with
Charlton Heston.
Okay.
Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, how in the world did you end up right here in Vail, Oregon?
Well, that's another long story.
I'm sure.
And we're still over on that other. We ain't even got where we was going on that other one yet.
I know. We'll continue that.
But anyway, so in the meantime, Glenn Randall was junior. Glenn Randall, when he was a kid, did the trip in the chariot, this was in the late 50s or whenever, after that movie came out, you know, when they let him do it. So Glenn started that race and doing them in all the big rodeos like Denver and all that. So anyway,
I'm getting a time notation. It's just like TV, huh? And we're going to have to continue and find out eventually how he got to Vail, Oregon. Well, here we are again. Frankie Roglin, walking together, talking together, continuing with R.L. Tolbert and his right-hand helper, Macy. And he was continuing to tell us about his exploits down in Hollywood and the movies. So continue, RL, and this is going to be kind of our wrap-up segment with RL.
well, anyway, so I got the job driving the chariot. Glenn Randall Jr. they built an amusement park in New Jersey, and he started a little Wild West show back there for that. So he was having trouble with some horses or whatever. And so there was 3 or 4 of them guys that I knew that were in the movie business, that bronc riders and stuff, you know. And there was a couple of them went back there to New Jersey. So they needed somebody that could drive horses and drive the chariots and the 4-up and the stagecoach. And so all them guys that knew me said, oh yeah, well, there's this guy RL, he rides broncs and he can drive horses, he can do all that. So I went back there for 3 years.
3 years.
And that's when I got in the movie business.
Okay.
And met all these guys, other stuntmen and stuff, you know. Anyway, so.
How long did you spend in the stunt business?
Started then, well, got my card in 75.
Oh, you got to have a card too, huh?
Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, okay. So you're part of the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
Oh.
And anyway, so I got my card in 75 in New York. Guy who needed somebody to get hit by a taxi cab.
Oh, that too.
But got me in there, got me into the
Bronx and okay.
got me in the business. So then when I came back, I run into this guy Chuck that I met on Dirty Dingus Magee back in them days anyway, 10 years back, 65. Just now it's 75, I get my card. 77, I got into the Stuntman's Association, which was the first one. And first association, there's 3 now, I think. But anyway, got back there riding that stuff. Where am I? I'm lost. I lost my train there.
Well, let me
train
ask
of
you
thought.
this. How many movies do you think you've actually been in?
Oh, I think, I don't know, IMDb can tell you that.
All kinds of credits, I understand.
Yeah, well, I've got to be a second unit director, and I was stunt coordinator on a lot of shows with Sam. More so than stunt double. I did double him a lot.
Sam who?
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
Yeah. I doubled him quite a bit, but mostly I was the coordinator and second unit director on those shows.
So you were just, going right up the ladder, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was fun. Yeah, it was.
Good. Well, you know, we ended our second session, and I was asking you, well, how in the world did this Hollywood stuntman end up right here in our backyard? You said it was a long story. We got to make it short. So how did that happen?
Well, I'll go back again. I came to Pendleton, so I came up there, and I used to come to Snake River Stampede a lot.
Okay.
Every year for a couple, 3 years. Anyway, so I liked this. I'd seen I've been everywhere. I've been on the East Coast, been all over the country, and I liked this around here. If I was going to leave California or something, this might not be a place, bad place to be in this area. So that's kind of the way it started. But then I got married and had her mom and other kids, and we decided, and her granddad lives up here on the hill.
Oh, okay. Who's that?
Wink Russell.
Okay.
And so he was in Idaho then. And he said, well, there's a place over there in Vail. Stuff's pretty cheap over there,
Okay. So family ties.
Yeah, so that was in 2004. I come up here. He was over there, and he didn't come over here till 05 or 06, but he was right over there by Boise.
Okay. Well, we kind of end up these sort of series asking people, in spite of, and of course, coronavirus has been going on, we ask people about what do you find that you might actually like in Vail, as well as what has been, in spite of all this other, positive for you, kind of seeing through all this?
Well, everything. Everything's been good around here. I mean, I had that little farm, I sold it, and then started to go back to California, ended up saying heck with that and came back up here. And anyway, I got into all the FFA, 4-H, all that stuff. I was the chairman of 2 or 3 of those outfits, and for a time, a couple of years, 3 years.
Right.
And had a lot of goats,
Okay.
Got goats. Our club, when we came from California, we had a club out there. We brought that club with us because another person moved up here with us, got 6 kids, 5, 6 kids, Rasmussens. They were in our club in California, then they came up a year or 2 after we did. So we had this, and we took it all to the fair, and we got goats in the fair.
Okay.
We had some opposition, you know. So what we did, we went and got all these kids and we put them in their dress, you know, 4-H. We took them into that committee, sales committee, and her uncle, Elliot Randall Tolbert.
Okay.
He was a pretty good speaker. He was in FFA, see. So he went up there and he made the case for the goats, and
Well, you
and
know,
that got them. They
I'm getting a sign.
another one.
We could go on, and you know, you could probably go on the road as a professional speaker,
Well, I can
kind of making things positive for all
see.
of us.
I never would do this before. Now, you know, I never.
Thank
I
you.
didn't do it at all.
I would ask Macy to say something, but Macy has said, no way, right? But nevertheless, I assume she advises you on an ongoing basis.
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Was it mom in the FFA?
Well,
Yeah.
God bless all. And she said something. What?
I said, wasn't my mom in the FFA?
Yeah,
She
she
has a
was.
pillow with her name on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We are an agricultural community, 4-H, FFA, and all of that. Great. Okay. Thank you, folks. And again, if you'd like an inspirational speaker, maybe R.L. Tolbert is your man. God bless.